Hello children, we had already discussed about the conductivity and molar conductivity of electrolytic solution. So what is conductivity? Conductivity is the conductance of 1 centimeter cube volume of the solution, and in the case of electrolytic solution, at the place of conductivity, the more appropriate term is the molar conductivity. So children, today we discuss about the variation of conductivity and molar conductivity. So first we discuss about how does the conductivity changes by changing the concentration, or what happens to conductivity when we are diluting the solution. So children, the conductivity or specific conductance refers to the conductance of 1 centimeter cube volume of the solution. With increase in the dilution, the number of ions which are present in 1 centimeter cube volume of the solution get decreases, because when we are decreasing the concentration of the solution, or when we are going to dilute the solution, the number of ions which are present in 1 centimeter cube of the electrolyte get decreases, and when the number of ions get decreases, the conductivity consequently of the electrolytic solution decreases as we are decreasing the concentration, or when we are diluting the solution, or as the dilution increases. Next is the variation of molar conductivity with the concentration. The molar conductivity is represented as kappa m. So children, what is the formula to calculate the molar conductivity? The molar conductivity is equal to conductivity into volume. So to understand the variation of molar conductivity with the concentration, let us examine the value of molar conductivity for different electrolytes at different concentration in this table. Students, you can see in this table there is the molar conductivity changes for different electrolytes for varying the concentration of the electrolytic solution. By seeing this table, we reveal that in this, the molar conductivity value for a strong electrolyte is larger than those of weak electrolyte for same concentration. Second, we found that the molar conductivity of electrolyte generally increases with dilution. And third point is the relative increase in the value of molar conductivity for a strong electrolyte is quite small as compared to that of the weak electrolyte. Children, this is the graphical representation of the variation of molar conductivity for the strong electrolyte, that is KCl, and the weak electrolyte, that is the acetic acid. So this is the graphical representation, and here a plot is drawn between the molar conductivity and the concentration. So with the help of this graph, we can clearly understand how does the molar conductivity of the strong and weak electrolyte varies by changing the concentration of the solution, or by changing the dilution. Okay, so students, in this graph we reveal the following fact. You can see here that in the case of a strong electrolyte, when the concentration approaches 0, this is the maximum value. Here the molar conductivity of the electrolyte attain a definite maximum value that is named as the limiting molar conductivity, that is represented by kappa m naught, that is the limiting molar conductivity. Molar conductivity. This is limiting molar conductivity. Okay, so in the case of a strong electrolyte, when the concentration approaches to 0, so what we found that the molar conductivity attain a definite value. That definite value is named as the limiting molar conductivity, and it is represented by the symbol kappa m naught. So for a strong electrolyte, the value of kappa m naught, means the limiting molar conductivity value, is determined from the graph by extrapolating it to the 0 concentration. So with the help of the graph, we can easily evaluate or determine the value of limiting molar conductivity for the strong electrolyte simply by extrapolating the graph at which the concentration of the solution approaches 0. Second is, students, in this you see that this is the graph regarding the weak electrolyte, that is the acetic acid. Here there is no indication that the limiting molar conductivity value can be attained, because when the concentration approaches 0, the graph almost become parallel to the y-axis. Thus, for weak electrolyte, the value of limiting molar conductivity cannot be obtained by simply extrapolating the graph to the zero concentration, and it is obtained indirectly by the Kohlrausch law, which we discuss in the next topic. Okay, students. Next we come to the next point, that is the explanation for the variation of molar conductivity. Why in the case of weak electrolyte and strong electrolyte there is variation existing in the molar conductivity by changing the concentration of the solution. So students, in the case of weak electrolyte, this weak electrolyte has low degree of ionization because the weak electrolyte are not completely ionized in the aqueous solution, whereas on the other hand the strong electrolyte like potassium chloride has greater tendency to convert into its ion when they are converted into the molten state or in the aqueous solution. So the weak electrolyte has low degree of ionization, hence they have poor ionization in the aqueous solution. It means in the aqueous solution the weak electrolyte does not completely undergo to convert into the ions. So that is responsible for the low value of molar conductivity. So as the dilution increases or when we are decreasing the concentration of the solution, the degree of ionization of weak electrolyte get increases, because when we are decreasing the concentration, more number of weak electrolytes are converted into the ions form. So the degree of ionization increases by decreasing the concentration of the solution or by increasing the dilution. So as this causes the more and more ionization, and as a result the value of kappa m also increases. It means by diluting the solution or by decreasing the concentration of the weak electrolyte, it rapidly converted into the form of ions, that is the ionization increases, degree of ionization increases, and when the degree of ionization increases, this cause the results in increase in the value of molar conductivity. So when the concentration approaches zero, the degree of ionization approaches unity, that is the electrolyte almost undergo complete ionization. At the zero concentration, all the electrolytes are dissociated into form of ions, and this causes a steep rise in the value of the molar conductivity of the weak electrolyte. You can see in this graph. So when we are decreasing the concentration of the solution, this after some time there is a steep rise in the value of molar conductivity near the infinite dilution. So here the term infinite dilution. Infinite dilution. What do you mean by the term infinite dilution? So the infinite dilution means the solution is so diluted that it has a maximum or limiting value of molar conductivity which does not increase on further dilution. So students, here the variation of conductivity with concentration, that is the conductivity is the conductance of 1 centimeter cube volume of the solution. So when we are decreasing the concentration of the solution, less number of ions are available in the solution, in the electrolytic solution, and the conductivity is decreases. But in the case of molar conductivity, the molar conductivity increases on dilution. Here you see in the case of weak electrolyte also. So in the case of molar conductivity, the molar conductivity is equal to conductivity into volume. So since the conductivity decreases on dilution, the decrease in the conductivity is more compensated by increase in the volume. That's why the molar conductivity for strong electrolyte and for weak electrolyte increases on decreasing the concentration or increases by diluting the solution. After that, children, the next is for the strong electrolyte. As we know that the strong electrolytes are completely undergo ionization in the aqueous solution, that they are completely converted into the form of ions at all the concentration, but the value of their molar conductivity is generally high even at high concentration. But in the case of highly concentrated solution, for the case of a strong electrolyte, there is a interionic interaction is found, and this interionic interaction reduce the speed of ions, and this is responsible for the low value of molar conductivity at high concentration. As we are decreasing the concentration of the solution or on increasing the dilution, the ions move apart and the interionic interactions are decreases by decreasing the concentration of the solution or by increasing the dilution, and as a result the molar conductivity of the strong electrolyte attain a maximum value that is named as the limiting molar conductivity, represented by kappa m naught. For a strong electrolyte, the mathematical relation between the molar conductivity and the limiting molar conductivity was developed by Debye-Huckel-Onsager equation, and this equation is written as, that is the kappa m is equal to kappa m naught minus A under root C, or we can write that is the kappa m naught minus A C raised to power 1 by 2. This is the Debye-Huckel-Onsager equation. So children, here the kappa m is the molar conductivity, this kappa m naught is the limiting molar conductivity, this A is constant whose value depends on the viscosity and dielectric constant of the solvent, and for a given solvent at the given temperature it depends on the type of electrolyte, that is the charge which is present on the cation and anion produced by the dissociation of the electrolyte, and this C is the concentration of the solution. This is the molar conductivity, this is the limiting molar conductivity, A is the constant whose value depends on the viscosity and the dielectric constant of the substance, and C is the concentration of the solution. So students, from this equation it is clear that as the C approaches 0, the molar conductivity become equal to the value of limiting molar conductivity. Since as the C approaches 0, the kappa m approaches to kappa m naught, that is the molar conductivity approaches to limiting molar conductivity when the concentration is 0. Second is, when we draw a plot between the molar conductivity and the concentration, since this equation is comparable to the straight line equation, here we got a straight line and the slope is equal to, the slope of this plot is equal to minus A, and the intercept is equal to limiting molar conductivity, that is kappa m naught. After the variation of conductivity and molar conductivity by changing the concentration, our next topic is the Kohlrausch law, and I have already explained you that is the value of limiting molar conductivity for weak electrolytes are calculated by the Kohlrausch law. So first is, what is the Kohlrausch law? So the chemist Kohlrausch in 1875 gave a generalization that is named as the Kohlrausch law, and that is based on the independent migration of ions, and this law states that at infinite dilution, when the dissociation of the electrolyte is complete, each ions make a definite contribution towards the total molar conductivity of the electrolytic solution, irrespective of the nature of other ion which is present in it. Okay, so children, at infinite dilution the electrolytes are completely ionized in the form of ions, cations and ions, and in the solution each ion contribute towards the total molar conductivity of the solution. So this implies that the molar conductivity of electrolyte at infinite dilution can be expressed as the sum of contribution from its individual ion. So if the limiting molar conductivity of cations and anions are respectively, that is the lambda plus naught and lambda negative naught, this is the limiting molar conductivity for cation, this is the limiting molar conductivity for anion. Okay, then the limiting molar conductivity of electrolyte at infinite dilution, that is this kappa m naught, the limiting molar conductivity can be written as this is V plus V minus represents the number of cations, this represents the limiting molar conductivity for cations, this is the number of anions, and this represents the limiting molar conductivity of the anions. For example, suppose we take an electrolyte that is NaCl. So the limiting molar conductivity for NaCl, how can we write? At infinite dilution, when the electrolytes are completely dissociated, each ion make a definite contribution towards the total molar conductivity of the solution. That is the limiting molar conductivity for NaCl can be written as, that is the lambda naught Na plus, here one number of cation is formed, plus lambda naught Cl negative. It means that each ion contribute towards the total molar conductivity of the electrolytic solution. Next is the application of Kohlrausch law. In this, the first application is the calculation of limiting molar conductivity of weak electrolyte. So children, the Kohlrausch law is very helpful in determining the limiting molar conductivity for weak electrolyte. It is known that the value of kappa m cannot be calculated for the weak electrolyte by simply extrapolating the plot of concentration versus molar conductivity. So for example, how can we calculate limiting molar conductivity for weak electrolyte? This can be explained you with the help of an example. The value of limiting molar conductivity kappa m naught for acetic acid, that is the CH3COOH, that can be calculated by knowing the value of the limiting molar conductivity for a strong electrolyte, that is the value of limiting molar conductivity for sodium acetate CH3CONA and the limiting molar conductivity for NaCl and the limiting molar conductivity for the HCl. So by knowing the limiting molar conductivity for these strong electrolyte, we can evaluate the value of the limiting molar conductivity for this weak electrolyte, and their weak electrolyte is acetic acid. So students, for this acetic acid, with the help of the Kohlrausch law, how can we explain it? That is the limiting molar conductivity value for the acetic acid, that at infinite dilution the electrolytes are completely undergo ionization and each ion contribute towards the total molar conductivity of the solution. That is, here for acetic acid the value is the lambda naught for acetate anion and plus lambda naught H plus. Okay, so here by adding and subtracting the Na plus and Cl negative ion on the right hand side, what we get, that is this H plus, then plus Na, then again minus Na. Here we add and subtract the Na plus and Cl negative ion on this right hand side. So after that we get this. Okay, after that children, here this value is calculated from this and this, sodium acetate, NaCl and HCl. So here when we join this and this, okay, here two are joined together, again this H plus and this Cl negative are joined together, okay, and here this Na plus and this Cl negative are joined together. So what we get, that is the limiting molar conductivity for sodium acetate strong electrolyte on combining these two. Okay, by combining this HCl, what we get, plus, here this is plus, so plus limiting molar conductivity for HCl, and here the Na plus is minus and Cl, this is a minus NaCl, so here it is minus Na limiting molar conductivity for NaCl. So when we know the value of the limiting molar conductivity for the strong electrolyte sodium acetate, HCl, adding this and subtracting the limiting molar conductivity of NaCl, we simply calculate the limiting molar conductivity of the weak electrolyte, that is acetic acid. So the Kohlrausch law is applicable in calculating the value of limiting molar conductivity for the weak electrolyte. Next application is the calculation of degree of dissociation of weak electrolyte. So the molar conductivity of weak electrolyte depends upon its degree of dissociation, that is the degree of ionization. Higher the degree of dissociation, higher is the molar conductivity. So as the dilution increases, the degree of dissociation of weak electrolyte also increases, and consequently the molar conductivity of electrolyte increases. So students, at infinite dilution, what we found, that at infinite dilution the concentration approaches zero and the degree of ionization or degree of dissociation approaches unity, and this law is named as the Ostwald's dilution law. This is the Ostwald dilution law, and at this stage the molar conductivity of electrolyte becomes maximum and attain a value of the limiting molar conductivity, and that is the kappa m naught for the electrolyte. So students, if we assume that the kappa mc is the molar conductivity of the solution at any concentration, and this kappa m naught is the limiting molar conductivity of the electrolyte. So the degree of ionization, that is the alpha, is given by the equation, that is the kappa mc, that is the molar conductivity of the solution at any concentration, divided by kappa m naught, that is the limiting molar conductivity. So according to Ostwald dilution law, as the dilution increases, the degree of dissociation of weak electrolyte also increases, because when we are adding the more solvent molecules, that is the concentration get decreases, then the electrolytes are completely undergoing ionization. They are converted in the form of ions, and consequently the molar conductivity of the electrolyte will also increase. So at infinite dilution, the concentration approaches zero and the degree of dissociation approaches unity, and this law is named as the Ostwald dilution law. And if the kappa m naught is the limiting molar conductivity, kappa mc is the molar conductivity of the molar conductivity at a given concentration of the solution, then the degree of ionization or dissociation can be written as, that is the kappa mc divided by kappa m naught. Fourth important application is determining the solubility of sparingly soluble salts. So first, what is the sparingly soluble salts? For example, the salts like AgCl, BaSO4, these are the sparingly soluble salt because they dissolve in water to a very small extent. That's why these salts are called sparingly soluble salt. So the aqueous solution of such salts is infinitely dilute solution due to their extremely low solubility in the water, and at the same time it is saturated solution, and the concentration of such salt in their aqueous solution pertains to their respective solubility and can be calculated by the measurement of conductivity and molar conductivity. The solubility can be calculated by knowing the value of conductivity and molar conductivity in the aqueous solution. So the kappa m naught is written as, that is the conductivity into 1000 by concentration. Okay, so at the place of concentration or molarity, what can we write? That is the kappa m naught is equal to conductivity into 1000 by solubility. Okay, then what is solubility? Solubility is equal to what? That is the conductivity into 1000 by limiting molar conductivity. So in this way, the Kulrauch law is helpful in determining the solubility of sparingly soluble salts. The next topic is the electrolytic cell and electrolysis. This is the last topic of the chapter. So what is the electrolysis? The electrolysis is defined as the process of decomposition of electrolyte by the passage of electricity through its molten or dissolved state. That process is called electrolysis. An electrolysis process is carried out in a device. That device is named as the electrolytic cell. So the electrolytic cell is the device in which the process of electrolysis is carried out. So what are the important composition of the electrolytic cell? So the first is here you can see, this is the picture of the electrolytic cell, and this cell consists of the electrolytic tank. The first is consist of the electrolytic tank. Okay, you see in the picture that this electrolytic tank is made up of the non-conducting material like glass, wood or bakelite. Second is it consists of electrolyte. So the electrolyte in its dissolved state or molten state is present in the electrolytic cell. Third is the source of electricity. And this source of electricity may be a battery or a electrochemical cell. Here students, in the picture you see that this electrolytic cell consists of two metallic rods. The two metallic rods, they are acting as the electrodes. One is the cathode and another one is anode. The two metallic rods suspended in the electrolyte and connected to a battery through the conducting wires. The electrode connected to the negative terminal of the battery is called cathode, while the other one which is connected to the positive terminal is called anode. The process of electrolysis can be explained on the basis of the theory of ionization. Explain on the basis of how the electrolysis is carried out in the electrolytic cell. So the process of electrolysis can be explained on the basis of theory of ionization. Then what is this? So when an electrolyte is dissolved in water, on dissolving in a solvent or a polar solvent, it is split into the charged ions. That is, it is split into the cations and anions. Okay, so these are the positively charged ions and these are the negatively charged ions in the electrolytic cells, and these ions are present in the electrolyte. After ionization, these ions are free to move about in the aqueous solution, and when electric current is passed through the solution, the ions respond to the applied potential difference and their movement is directed towards the oppositively charged electrodes. The cations are moved towards the negatively charged electrode, whereas the anions are moving towards the positively charged electrodes. The formation of product at the respective electrode is due to the oxidation is taking place at anode and the reduction reaction is taking place at the cathode. After that, children, next is there are some important difference between the electrochemical cell, which is already discussed you in the previous classes, and today we discuss the electrolytic cell. So what are the important basic difference between these? In galvanic cell, the electrical energy is produced by the redox reaction. A spontaneous reaction takes place, and that spontaneous reaction is the redox chemical reaction. Two half cells are placed in the different containers and are connected through salt bridge or porous partition. In galvanic cell, anode is negative and cathode is positive. The electrons move towards the anode to cathode in the external circuit, whereas in the electrolytic cell, the electrical energy is consumed to carry out the redox reaction. Here the non-spontaneous reaction is taking place. Both the electrodes are placed in the solution or molten electrolyte in the same container. In the electrolytic cell, anode is positive and cathode is negative. The electrons are supplied by external source and they enter through cathode and came out through anode. Next is the problem based on the application of Kulrauch law, and the problem is the value of the limiting molar conductivity of aluminium sulfate is 858 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse, while the limiting molar conductivity for sulfate anion is 160 Siemens cm square mole inverse. So we have to calculate the limiting ionic conductivity for aluminium 3+. So how can we solve this, children? First, according to Kulrauch law, this is the electrolyte, and the limiting molar conductivity for the electrolyte, that is the aluminium sulfate SO4 thrice, can be written as, that is the 2 moles of limiting molar conductivity of Al3+, okay, first, and sulfate anion is form is 3 limiting molar conductivity for sulfate anion, okay. So after that, substituting the value of limiting molar conductivity of the electrolyte is given, that is the 858 Siemens cm square mole inverse, okay, is equal to, we have to find the limiting molar conductivity of Al3+, that is the 2 limiting molar conductivity of Al3+, okay, plus 3 into limiting molar conductivity for sulfate anion is given, that is 160 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse into 160 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse, okay, children. So now shifting this, that is the 2 limiting molar conductivity for Al3+ is equal to 858 minus 3 into 160, and that is equal to 378 Siemens centimeter square mole inverse, okay. So after that, This is a 2 into limiting molar conductivity of aluminium. So the limiting molar conductivity for Al3 plus is equal to 378 divided by 2, that is equal to 189 Simon cm square mole inverse. So children, this is the solution of this problem. So first we write the Kohlrausch law for this electrolyte, that is the limiting molar conductivity for Al2SO4 thrice is equal to 2, number of cations form is 2 and number of anions form is 3. So 2 into limiting molar conductivity for aluminium cation, 3 into limiting molar conductivity for sulfate anion, and after the substituting this value we got the value of the limiting molar conductivity of the aluminium 3 plus ion. So children, today we complete the chapter electrochemistry. Till then children, be safe and keep learning.